Today, I want to talk to you about one of my absolute favorite types of play, sensory play. And the reason I love sensory play so much is simple. You can almost immediately see a child become calmer. I've seen it over and over again, both as a professional and as a parent. There's something incredibly regulating about engaging these senses, especially for babies and toddlers whose nervous systems are still developing. Sensory play is just about keeping children busy. It's about helping their bodies feel safe, organized, and ready to learn. And once you understand that, it completely changes the way you approach play at home. When I worked in the early intervention system, I supported many children with autism and children who struggled with nervous system regulation. And in every single session I ran, I started the same exact way, with a sensory bin. I didn't do this by accident. I did it because I knew sensory play was a calming activity and endless benefits for learning. Before I ever asked a child to communicate, problem solve, or try something challenging, I focused on regulation first because learning doesn't happen in a dysregulated body. Sensory play supports fine motor skills, cognitive development, early math skills, and language building, all at the same time. But even more importantly, it helps a child feel calm and grounded. Once that calmness is established, something powerful will happen. The child trusted me. And from that place of trust and regulation, we were able to move on to other activities, even more vigorous or challenging ones, because their nervous system was ready. That same approach works beautifully at home. Sensory play does not need to be fancy, it does not need to be expensive, and it does not need to be Pinterest worthy. It can be as simple as Tupperware containers from your kitchen filled with water, a little food coloring, and your child's favorite plastic toys with some scoops and cups. That's it. I always encourage parents to make sensory play predictable. Add a timer on your phone or ask Alexa to set one and schedule sensory play at the same time every day. In my own home, we did sensory play twice a day, once in the morning and once after nap time in the afternoon. It quickly became my daughter's favorite activity. Not only did it promote calm and independence, but it also allowed me to get things done around the house. And often my children would play together for long stretches of time. Some of my favorite sensory fillers are water, rice, shredded paper, beans, and ice. You can add it in small plastic toys of any kind. Animals, cars, scoops, cups, or pick up themed items from the dollar store to keep things simple and affordable. Yes, cleanup might be part of the process, but the benefits far outweigh the mess. In my early childhood center, we had a messy class, and it was always one of the children's favorites. They loved being able to explore, get messy, and go home with a sensory craft that they created themselves. Children need opportunities to explore their senses freely. That's how they learn, that's how they regulate, and that's how they build confidence in their own bodies. There's also something really important happening beneath the surface that I learned from working alongside occupational therapists and special therapists. From an occupational therapy perspective, sensory play is deeply connected to sensory integration. When a child pours water, scoops rice, squeezes wet sponges, or runs their hands through beans, they are giving their nervous system organized input. That tactile input helps the brain interpret sensation more clearly. And when the brain can interpret sensation clearly, the body feels safer. Occupational therapists often talk about how regulation comes from predictable, repetitive sensory input. Think about it. Pouring, scooping, stirring, transferring. These movements are rhythmic. They're organizing, they give a brain pattern it can follow. And like we've said before, our brain loves predictability and loves pattern. That's especially powerful for children who struggle with sensory processing differences, autism, ADHD, or general nervous system dysregulation. But honestly, all toddlers benefit from this. Heavy work, like lifting a container of water, pushing rice around with a scoop,
Squeezing sponges also activates the proprioceptive system. That's the system that tells us where our body is in space. And proprioceptive input is one of the most common forms of input we can give a child. That's why after sensory play, you often see a child more focused, more connected, more able to sit and engage. Now let's layer in speech therapy. Speech therapists understand something that parents don't always hear. Language develops best inside connection and regulation. When a child is dysregulated, their brain is in survival mode. And in survival mode, language is not the priority. But when a child is calm and engaged in sensory play, that's when language blossoms naturally. Sensory prints create opportunities for modeling language without pressure. You can narrate what your child is doing. Scoop, pour, wet, cold, more water, your turn, my turn. You're building vocabulary, you're modeling sentence structure, you're teaching turn taking, you're supporting joint attention, which is one of the foundational building blocks of communication. And here's the beautiful part, it doesn't feel like therapy, it feels like play. That's why I love play so much. That's why sensory play is so powerful. It supports regulation, motor development, cognitive skills, and language, all at the same time, without a worksheet, without flashcards, without forcing a child to perform. This is development the way it is meant to happen. I also want to speak directly to parents about children who have autism, because sensory play isn't just helpful for children who have autism, it can be foundational. Many children who have autism experience sensory input more intensely or more inconsistently than neurotypical children. Sounds can feel louder, textures can feel overwhelming, or sometimes they seek more sensory input because their nervous system needs stronger signals to feel organized. When we offer structured sensory play, we're not just letting them get messy. We're giving their nervous system predictable input in a safe environment. And predictability matters. When a child knows what to expect, same bin, same routine, same time of day, their body begins to relax. Their brain starts to say, I know this, I'm safe here. For many autistic children, having control within sensory play is also incredibly regulating. They get to decide how much water, how much rice, how fast, how slow. That sense of autonomy lowers their anxiety and builds confidence. And here's something really important. When a child can regulate through sensory experiences, they're learning what calm feels like in their own body. That awareness becomes a blueprint. Now let's zoom out even further, because this doesn't stop at toddlerhood. When we consistently support sensory regulation in early childhood, we are building neutral pathways that help children recognize and respond to stress later in life. A toddler who learns, when I feel overwhelmed, I can scoop, squeeze, pour, or move, is slowly building an internal library of coping strategies. Fast forward to adolescence. That same nervous system will experience bigger stressors, peer dynamics, academic pressure, identity development, social media, independence. If that child has spent years practicing regulation in small supported ways, their brain has more flexibility, more awareness, more tools. Instead of exploding, shutting down, or spiraling, they are more likely to pause, even if it's just slightly, because their nervous system has practiced returning to calm. Early sensory play strengthens the pathways between the lower brain, where stress and survival live, and the higher brain, where reasoning, empathy, and problem solving happen. And that bridge matters even more in adolescence, because teenagers don't suddenly learn emotional regulation at 13. They build it from the ground up. From water bins, from rice scooping, from repetitive pouring, from moments where an adult helped them feel safe in their body. This is why I care so much about simple early regulation tools. And that's why I'm teaching you all that I know. We are not just calming toddlers, we are shaping future adults who know how to come back to themselves. If you're listening to this and thinking, okay, I love this, but I need someone just to tell me exactly what to put in the bin. Well, I made something for you. It's called my No Fuss Sensory Bin Guide, and it walks you step by step through how to create simple themed sensory bins without overthinking it. There's one for every month of the year, so you never have to scramble for ideas. Each one includes a material list, simple setup instructions, and easy ways to build language and learning into play without turning it into work. No complicated supplies, no Pinterest pressure, just realistic, doable sensory play that actually supports regulation. If you want calm without the guesswork, you can grab the guide through the link in my show notes. Let's make this simple. There's one thing I want you to take away from this episode. It's this. Calm always comes before learning. You don't need complicated activities or expensive toys to support your child's development. Sometimes the most powerful tools are the simplest ones: water, containers, and time to explore. If you try a sensory bin at home, I would love to see it. Connect with me on my social media and share what you create. Your setup doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to invite your child to play. And as always, remember, when you support your child's nervous system, you're supporting everything else that comes after. Thanks for being here with me today. And before you go, take a breath, drop your shoulders, and remind yourself that you're doing a really good job. You're a world changer.